The sky was already bleeding orange and purple when my car finally sputtered into the gravel lot of Ridgeview Inn. I hadn't planned on stopping, but my phone was dead, the highway signs were faded, and I hadn't seen another car for over an hour. When the low fuel light blinked to life, so did the unease in my gut. That's when I saw the glowing red vacancy sign like a beacon in the darkening countryside. It looked ancient, the kind of place built in the 70s and never updated. A single row of rooms sat beneath a flickering row of yellow bulbs, the paint peeling from the stucco walls like sunburnt skin. The office was enclosed in dusty glass, and a neon sign that read "Check In" buzzed like an irritated insect. Inside, the air was stale. It smelled of mothballs and damp wood. A man emerged from the back, startling me. His skin was leathery, his eyes oddly glassy, like he'd forgotten how to blink. He wore a name tag that simply said Frank. "Need a room," he rasped. "Just for the night," I replied, trying to sound casual. He didn't ask for ID. Just handed me a rusty key labeled Room 6, along with a warning muttered under his breath. "Don't go poking around. Stay in your room once it gets dark." I blinked. Sorry, what? But he was already turning away, disappearing behind a beaded curtain. A small bell above the door jingled as I stepped out into the evening, heart thudding a little faster. Room 6 was at the far end. The lock resisted before clicking open with a reluctant groan. The inside was exactly what you'd expect from a $30 motel room. Dim lighting, outdated decor, and a smell I couldn't quite place. But it was clean. Sort of. Tired, I dropped my backpack and lay on the bed, staring at the stained popcorn ceiling. I closed my eyes for just a second, and then came the knock. It was soft at first. 3 gentle taps. I shot up. Who knocks on a stranger's motel room after dark? I got up slowly and peeked through the peephole. But there was no one there. Maybe a prank? Still, the warning Frank had given me replayed in my head. Don't go poking around. I double-locked the door and tried to shake off the unease. Around 1:30 a.m., the real nightmare began. I was halfway between sleep and waking when I heard it again. This time, the knock was louder. More insistent. The kind of knock you feel in your bones. I leapt out of bed and checked the peephole again. Still no one. But something felt wrong. My gut twisted as I turned to head back to bed, and froze. The bathroom light was on. I was sure I hadn't left it that way. "Hello," I called, my voice shaking. No answer. I approached the bathroom slowly. The light buzzed softly, flickering like it was struggling to stay alive. I stepped inside and looked around. Nothing. The small mirror over the sink was foggy, as if someone had just taken a shower. The tap was dripping. I turned it off. Then I looked in the mirror. And I wasn't alone. For a split second, a figure stood behind me. Tall. Shadowed. Watching me. I spun around. No one was there. My breath caught in my throat. I stumbled back into the room, heart pounding so loudly I was afraid it would wake the dead. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but my body was frozen with fear. The silence in the room was oppressive, like it had weight. Like it was watching me. I turned on every light I could, including the static-filled TV. Just noise, anything to drown out the silence. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Morning couldn't come fast enough. As soon as the sun peeked over the hills, I grabbed my stuff and made a beeline for the office. I wanted to return the key and get the hell out of that place. But when I got there, the door was locked. And the inside was empty. The office was coated in dust, the check-in sign unplugged, and the front desk covered in a fine layer of grime. Cobwebs clung to the corners of the glass. It looked like no one had been inside for years. I tried knocking on the door behind the counter. Nothing. No sound. Just silence. Then I noticed something on the wall near the office window. A faded missing persons poster. And the photo was of a man standing in front of room 6. Wearing my same jacket. I backed away slowly, heart jackhammering in my chest. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I had to get out. I ran to my car, jammed the key in the ignition. Nothing. The engine wouldn't start. I tried again. Just clicking. No life. That's when I saw it. In the rearview mirror. A figure standing outside room 6. Not moving. Just watching. Their face was blurred, like static on an old TV. I didn't wait. I grabbed my bag, bolted past the office, and ran down the road. Didn't look back. Not once. I made it to a gas station 5 miles away. The clerk looked surprised to see me. "You came from Ridgeview?" I nodded. "That place burned down 10 years ago. There ain't no motel there anymore." The gas station clerk's words echoed in my ears like distant thunder. That place burned down 10 years ago. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, some clarification, but he was dead serious. I glanced out the window, back in the direction I'd just run from. The motel. The flickering lights. The shadowed figure outside room 6. There must be a mistake, I said weakly. I stayed there. Last night. He gave me a long look and gestured toward a stool behind the counter. Sit down. You look pale. I obeyed, legs wobbling beneath me. He poured me a cup of coffee with shaking hands, not saying anything for a while. When he finally spoke again, it was quieter. That place. Ridgeview Inn. It used to be a real cheap stay, back in the day. Travelers would stop for a night, just like you did. But people started going missing. One after the other. Locals said it was cursed. Missing? I asked, my throat dry. He nodded grimly. They'd check in, never check out. One guy stayed in room 6. His family plastered his face all over town. Posters everywhere. Same thing every time. The police came, found the room untouched, luggage still inside, no signs of struggle. But the person just gone. I clenched the paper cup in my hand. I saw that poster. His jacket, it was exactly like mine. The clerk's face paled. That ain't a coincidence. After he gave me directions to the nearest town with a tow truck, I asked if he could drive me. He was hesitant at first, but agreed after a long pause. Don't look back when we pass it, he said as we approached the road I'd run down. The sun was high now, casting everything in the clarity of daylight. And yet the motel was gone. Where it should have stood was nothing but charred ruins, blackened beams poking through ash, as if the earth had swallowed the structure and left a scar behind. My skin crawled. No lights. No people. No Frank, I whispered. Just ghosts, the clerk replied. That's what they say. Ridgeview only shows itself when it wants to. I shivered despite the sun. I tried to move on. Once the tow company got my car, I drove 4 hours away to a new town. A bigger one, with people and traffic and lights that didn't flicker. I booked a clean hotel. No strange smells. No buzzing neon. Just normal. But I couldn't sleep. The dreams started that night. In them I was back in room 6. Only this time, the door was wide open. A dark hallway extended from the bathroom, deeper than it should have gone. Whispers echoed from inside, low and wet, like someone murmuring underwater. And always, I saw him. The man in the mirror. The blurred face. Watching me. The next day, I noticed something odd. My room key from Ridgeview was in my backpack. I was sure I'd thrown it out, or left it behind. But there it was, rusty and heavy in my hand. I tossed it into the hotel trash can. But the next morning, it was back. On my nightstand. It escalated fast. The light in my bathroom began flickering. I started hearing knocks at my hotel door. Soft at first, then louder. Always 3 times. When I finally opened it, furious and afraid, no one was there. But across the hallway, taped to the opposite wall, was a photograph. A picture of me. Sleeping. In Ridgeview's room 6. My stomach dropped. I checked out immediately, drove until I hit the coast, booked a cabin in the woods with no Wi-Fi, no contact with the outside world. I figured I just needed time to forget. Let the fear fade like a bad dream. But Ridgeview had other plans. On the 3rd night at the cabin, I heard footsteps on the porch. Not crunching gravel barefoot. Then came the knock. 3 times. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. But this time a voice followed. Low. Familiar. You never checked out. I ran to the window and peeked through the blinds. There he was. Frank. The same glassy-eyed motel manager, standing under the moonlight like he'd stepped out of a coffin. His clothes were burnt at the edges. His skin blistered. He raised a hand, curling his fingers slowly into a beckoning gesture. Behind him, I saw the outline of Ridgeview Inn. Rebuilt. Standing tall behind my cabin. Even though I was miles away. It had followed me. I backed away from the window, heart pounding, lungs barely working. I turned on every light. Grabbed my phone. No signal. The room grew cold. My breath frosted in the air. And then the bathroom light turned on by itself. I stepped toward it, drawn like a moth to flame. Against all logic. There, on the mirror, scrawled in condensation, were the words. Room 6 is waiting. The next morning, the cabin was normal. No footprints. No Ridgeview. But the rusted room key now hung on a chain around my neck. I didn't put it there. And I couldn't take it off. I must have tried everything. Burning the key. smashing it with a rock, tossing it into a running river. But every morning it returned, hanging around my neck like a curse I couldn't shake. At first, I thought it was all in my head. PTSD, maybe. A weird glitch in my brain from the trauma of that night at Ridgeview Inn. But it wasn't in my head. The key was real, and it wanted me to return. I started seeing signs again, literally. Motel signs. They would appear on long, empty roads, glowing neon in the shape of arrows. Ridgeview vacancy. Sometimes the signs weren't even there when I turned around to look again. But I'd seen them. My phone started glitching too. Google Maps randomly rerouted me toward the area where Ridgeview had burned down. Gas stations I stopped at didn't even exist on the map anymore. One night, I turned on my motel TV, hoping to distract myself. But every channel showed the same thing. A live feed of room 6. The camera was angled at the bed. Empty for now. But something moved in the background. Something tall and wrong. I yanked the TV's power cord out of the wall. The screen went black, but faint audio still played from the unplugged TV. Come back. It's time to finish your stay. I tried telling someone, a priest even. He gave me holy water. Prayed over the key. But as soon as I stepped outside his church, I found a folded piece of paper on my car windshield. It was a bill. A printed invoice. One night stay, Ridgeview Inn. Guest, my name. Amount due, your soul. Status, incomplete stay, room 6 awaiting. I couldn't take it anymore. If this thing wanted me back, maybe I had to end it on my own terms. Maybe going back was the only way to break the cycle. So I drove. All night. Across 3 counties. Past ghost towns and dead gas stations. And finally I saw it. Ridgeview Inn. Rebuilt. Lit up like a Christmas tree in the middle of nowhere, its sign buzzing with artificial life. But there were no cars in the lot. No signs of guests. Just the key getting heavier around my neck. I walked through the front door. It didn't creak. The lobby was freshly furnished, but wrong. All the decor looked like it came from a different time, like a 70s horror movie set. The clock on the wall was ticking backward. At the counter stood Frank, the motel manager. He smiled like he'd been expecting me. Still burned. Still dead. Still standing. Welcome back, sir, he said. Room 6 is ready. I followed Frank down the corridor, heart pounding like a funeral drum. The hallway looked endless now, much longer than I remembered. Room numbers ticked by in reverse. 12, 11, 10, 9. The lights flickered with every step. Shadows shifted on the walls like they were alive. I could hear doors creak behind me even though none were visibly opening. And then finally room 6. The door was open this time. Frank didn't follow me in. You must stay until it's over, he whispered. The second I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around and tried the knob, but it was gone. Not just locked, gone. Like it had never been there. The room was a mirror of itself. The same floral bedspread, cracked wallpaper, and dusty lamps. But the air was thick, like breathing through wet cotton. I stepped further in, every instinct screaming for me to turn back. The bathroom light was on. I hadn't touched it. Inside, the mirror was fogged, like someone had just stepped out of a hot shower. But the tub was empty. Dry. I wiped the glass with a shaky hand. And there he was. Me. But older. Thinner. Pale. And smiling. Then he whispered from the mirror. Don't look behind you. I turned. Nothing. I turned back, and my reflection was gone. I stumbled back into the main room. The ceiling began to drip black water. I looked up. No leak. Just a face pressed against the ceiling, stretching the plaster. And then the hallway. It had returned. Now the door was open again, but not to the lobby. It led to a hallway that stretched downward, like a spiral staircase made of rooms. One door after another. Room 7. Room 8. Room 9 all the way to room 13. I remembered what the motel had warned. Never look in room 13. But that was the only door open. I moved toward it slowly, steps echoing on the strange, endless floor. Inside room 13, a single chair sat under a hanging bulb. On the chair was me. Bound. Gagged. Eyes wide with terror. He looked at me like I was his only hope. But then another version of me appeared from behind the shadows. Laughing. Clapping slowly. 3 of me. The one in the chair screamed without sound. The second walked toward me and whispered in a voice like glass scraping metal. You never left. You never checked out. You're just one more version, feeding the cycle. I ran. Through hallways that looped in circles. through rooms that shifted like dreams. I saw other guests, their faces warped, their eyes black voids. Some crawled on the ceilings. Some whispered in languages I didn't understand. All of them reached for me. Stay. Join us. You're already one of us. Back in room 6, I found the original key on the bed. Next to it, a note written in red. There's only one way out, but you won't like it. The mirror in the bathroom began to crack. A face emerged. Not mine. Frank. Your stay is extended, he grinned. Welcome to forever. The mirror kept cracking, spiderweb lines dancing across its surface until the entire thing shattered inward like a vacuum had sucked reality into it. And from that hollow blackness, Frank crawled out. Only this wasn't the man from the front desk. This version was tall, too tall, and dripping with the same thick, black sludge that had begun to flood the bathroom floor. His mouth twisted unnaturally as he spoke. You think you're different? Every guest thinks they're special. But you paid. And payment here is permanent. I backed away as the walls of room 6 began to breathe. Yes, actually breathe, like lungs inhaling stale motel air. The wallpaper pulsed. The floorboards moaned. The bed moved slightly, like something underneath it was shifting, waiting. I knew then. This motel wasn't haunted. It was alive. And I was inside its stomach. I turned to run, but every door I tried led back into room 6. Room 6 from different angles. Room 6 on fire. Room 6 underwater. Room 6 filled with mirrors, each reflecting versions of myself I didn't recognize. I screamed, pounding on the walls, clawing at them with my nails until they bled. But the motel didn't care. It fed on that. Frank circled me like a predator. His eyes were hollow now, black holes that whispered memories into my ears. Remember your first nightmare? The one with the hallway that never ended? That was us. The sleep paralysis demon who sat on your chest? One of our bellboys. The stranger watching you from the bushes last year? He was just scouting for room 6. This place had been with me longer than I realized. I dropped to my knees, shaking. Why me? I asked. Why this? Frank leaned down close, breath cold as ice. You were cheap. He grinned. You chose us. I remembered it then. The night I picked the motel. It was pouring rain, and I had $50 to my name. I'd scrolled through hotel listings and laughed when I saw Ridgeview Inn, $5 a night. I booked it without a second thought. And that was the real horror, wasn't it? We sell ourselves cheap. For comfort. For escape. For convenience. And places like this feed on it. The room went black. Total darkness. Not even my hands in front of my face. And then a faint glow, red and flickering. A door stood in front of me. Wooden. Old. Marked with a brass exit sign above it. Was this real? I hesitated. Frank's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. You can leave, but a version of you must stay. Room 6 needs a soul. Behind me, the bed creaked again. Someone sat on it. I didn't turn around. I stepped toward the door. My hand gripped the knob. It was warm. I pulled. Blinding light. My lungs burned. Air, real, fresh air. I collapsed on pavement, coughing and gasping like I'd been underwater for days. The Ridgeview Inn was gone. Behind me stood nothing but an abandoned lot, grass overgrown, concrete cracked and swallowed by earth. A wooden closed sign dangled by a nail on a rusted chain-link fence. Had I dreamed it all? I looked down at my hands. Burn marks. Rope scars around my wrists. And hanging around my neck. The key. That was 6 months ago. I tried moving away. Tossing the key into the ocean. Burning it. Burying it in lead. Giving it to a priest. Nothing works. Every night, I dream of room 6. Every day, I see its number somewhere, on license plates, phone numbers, receipts. A part of me stayed there. I don't know which part, but I feel it missing. I haven't slept in weeks. Because when I do, I hear knocking, at the foot of my bed, and a whisper. Check out is a lie.